Just a thought. I know.
So Father's Day, how many fathers are here? Or whatever, some. Um, it's overrated. I can hardly wait till they moved out. But anyways, and I'm still waiting. No. So here's a little poem. In commemoration of Father's Day, actually, I'm going to celebrate parents. This is Parents' Day. I skipped Mother's Day, so this is Parents' Day. And here's a poem. He is a palm tree, shading people from the sun. She is a pillow, all nice and soft. He is a racing car, sometimes moving very fast. She is a turtle, moving very slowly, taking a walk, enjoying every second of life. He is a tree, tall and strong. They are my parents, and I love them with all my heart.
I like the props. Go with it.
Well, let's go back in time. How far back in time? Like, even before cavemen almost. I mean, when people were just primitive humans hanging around here, what do you imagine? Were they like...
who their fathers were. Good point.
Okay.
I don't know.
Not if they were from Sweden. So, I come from a proud 5-generation run of illegitimate children in Sweden. It's the thing they do there. So anyways.
Is it true?
Oh, absolutely.
There's the people who do the marrying only come through once every year or 2 or 3 or whatever. Nobody wanted to wait to get married officially, right?
So they just kind of threw it out the window. So, but now, that's Swedish, And so, what about the religion? Well, did they have a religion? Did they? What was their daily life like? And what about? Did they consider themselves like humanity, being like all one spirit, or any of those things that we hear about a lot today? Or were they narrow-minded and akin to animals, just rawr, So, well, we think we might have all the pieces that we need to understand them, but I think all we have is a list of unanswered questions. We really don't know. So, question number 1, did they believe in the oneness of humanity? Okay. In theory, they would be so busy defending their territory from marauding neighbors, and all that. I don't know what it was like back then, but they had to grow their own food. Any of you grow your own food? Oh my God! So anyways, I'm wondering if this idea of unity and humanity would even come up. They're just so busy taking care of their enemies, and vile enemies, of course, because they're attacking them. And Thomas Jefferson said this. I saw it on the wall of a museum where it was so cool. He said, "Peace is that brief, glorious moment in history when everybody is standing around reloading." Okay, what about the ancients' creation story? What do they have to offer us? Oh, they have a lot of, but just go back beyond all the ones we know about, way back. And okay, so maybe their creation story would revolve around what they saw around them. It's the world of opposites. There'd be a battle between the sun god and the river goddess, right? Or the rain goddess. And or maybe there would be, the river goddess would be punishing them with floods for not praying well enough to her, or something like this. I don't know. We hear stories about things like this going on. But, you wonder what else could they do? They're starving, possibly, and being attacked. I can see that they would maybe have not any interest in knowing whether there was oneness in our humanity. And would ask, if you said, "Hey, who are you?" They might say, just like we do today, "Hi, my name is Larry." Well, no, I mean, who are you? So that raises a question that's closer to home. Are we any different today? Or are we savages dressed in tuxedos and living in high-rises? I want to know the answer. I really do. Please. Give me
Well,
the
I
answer.
think if you really want to know the answer,
Yes.
okay, I think if you go back farther than what you were talking about, we were all just bands of people that didn't grow our own food, that found things to eat and followed the herds,
There you go.
okay, and the seasons. And then as we got to be more and more populated, we started fighting because then we ran into each other. And now we're all jammed together on this planet and we're fighting all the freaking time.
Yeah.
Okay, good answer.
So that's what I think.
So, are we any different?
Right.
And I
So you have to
think
ask,
we're
are we any
different,
different
though,
today, really?
To the
Yeah.
Great Spirit. You know, those indigenous tribes and stuff, they have a oneness with nature.
Oh, you're skipping ahead in my talk. Oh my goodness,
I'm so
Nisha.
I didn't
So-
confuse.
This is what I came up with. There's a clear measuring rod that we can use to say whether or not a people are savages or advanced human consciousness, and has nothing to do with their technology, but how they distribute what they have. It has nothing to do with the level of comfort they have, but how comfortable they make their neighbors. And here's the golden measurement above all. Thank you for leading into that so well.
Welcome. I try hard.
All and advanced people would believe that all things, no matter how diverse, reflect an underlying unity. We didn't make this feeling up. It's always been here. And so they would certainly see this. Now, we look around the world today, and it's interesting. The people who live most primitively, in our estimation, are often the ones that are the most advanced consciousness, according to the measurement I've given today. How can that be? Who are the savages? We can do better than that. I know we can. I'm not saying that we should sell our houses and live in huts. That's actually not even in the equation. I don't know really what I'm saying. So I have a story for you, and tell me if I'm saying it right. When Fiorello LaGuardia was mayor of New York City in 1935, he showed up in court one evening and he said, "Judge, you can go home. I'm taking over the bench for the evening." Well, the first case that came up was this little old lady, and he says, "Okay, you've been arrested for stealing bread. Do you have anything to say for yourself?" He says, "Sir, I needed the bread to feed my grandchildren." Oh my goodness. She's trying to get on the, get the judge, and the reader, and what is he going to do? He says, "Sorry, I have no option," responded the mayor. $10 or 10 days in jail. And at the same time, he took off his hat, threw $10 in it, and passed it around and says, "I fine everyone in this room 50 cents for living in a city where a grandmother has to steal bread to feed her grandchildren." Well, okay, so the hat went around, and she ended up, after she paid her fee, she ended up with $47.50 to take home. And this is 1935, okay?
Big book.
And $10 was a lot for her, so good for him. Here's a man who could feel what other people were feeling. Now, if you take this story as an example of our level of consciousness and love, then it's quite possible that the people of bygone ages were more advanced in moral fortitude, charity, and justice than we are today. Let us learn from them. There is a solution to the problem I've set before you today. It is to seek an awareness, not only of the underlying unity of things, but also of our own essential identity with this deeper reality. Union with God, or awakening with Christ, the Christ within, is what we call it today. Now a vision comes to me. In the days gone by, there was a people living on this planet who were filled with love, with the light of the heavens. More than this world was heaven, and the people dwelling here were angels. Let us arise and take our birthright as angels. And this is for Diana Pace. Hopefully she'll get it later. Did you know that we are surrounded by divine beings? In the very earliest levels of meditation, you start feeling a subtle energy, and feeling this energy you say, wow, I feel it from the rocks, I feel it from the trees and the grass, and there's energy everywhere. And you start, feeling like a kinship to the natural parts of this world. So, if the angels could come down and talk to us, they would say that this subtle energy is, in fact, the fundamental reality of all physical matter. As we arise in awareness, this feeling of energy movement becomes joy and peace, mingled in a giant pot, and you would feel yourself being drawn into this pot, embraced by the bliss you feel there, and you would call this prayer or communion with a higher existence. Then when you look around you, you would see the trees, the flowers, and the metals, and the water rushing down out of the mountains to the sea, as divine beings come down to bring their light to this world. Oh, I've got a story. One day in a far-off land, there was a people, the most peaceful inhabitants of this land was just, they just, all this bloodshed and stuff, and they didn't know what to do, so they contacted the most powerful wizard of the land, and they said, what can you help us? And he said, it's simple, I will destroy all weapons in this land. No weapons, they can't fight then, right? Oh, that'd be great, the peaceful people exclaimed, and he waved his wand and swish, and it was done. Well, there was peace in the land for about 3 days while all the people that were wanting to fight were looking around for their something that they could fight with, since they didn't have weapons, and they started to dig up small trees and sharpen them into spears, and now they went back to fighting again. And the wizard said, oh, that's not working. I'll tell you what, I got a plan. I will destroy all small trees. Waved his wand, and it was done. There were no small trees, and after about 3 or 4 days searching for young trees suitable for making spears, the rebellious people gathered up all their forks and letter openers, and they went back to fighting, and it was a tremendous battle, and the din was deafening. Well, this is not a serious story in case any of you are wondering. So the plan to fight isn't working at all. It's not working, said the peaceful people. And the wizard became confused, and they all sat around thinking of what they might do. Well, one lady, young lady, she turned to the wizard and she said, I have an idea. Let the people feel what other people are feeling. That way, when they're fighting with them and hurting them, they'll feel the pain and they'll stop fighting. And let them feel the joy other people are feeling too. So in this way, no one will hurt each other, but they'll try to do good. And all the people, the peaceful people, were inspired by this thought. They saw the greatness of this young lady's idea. Without further consideration, the wizard, he loves doing his thing, He waved a wand, and all the young trees reappeared, and he waved it again, and all the letter openers and forks were straightened out. And then he one final swish with his wand, and the wizard cast a spell the lady suggested. Since that day, nobody in that land has been fighting, because they would have to feel the pain that the other person is feeling when they're fighting. And they began to help each other because they liked the feeling of joy they felt when they did this. And they began to live in peace. The moral of the story is this: union with God is just as the story tells it. You cannot be in union and not feel what others feel. Why do you think that is? Because God feels what we feel. And when you're in union with Him, you will feel His feelings. Let me say that again. You cannot be in union and not feel what others feel, because God feels what we feel. And when in union with Him, we have become one with His feelings. I have something a little bit more modern. About 50 years ago, from my childhood. So my mom was a sweetheart. She got an inheritance. She spent the whole thing on a piano. She bought a Steinway grand piano for me and put it in the front room, right by the front door in the bay window. I could not walk past it without playing it. Well, that works really good. And then summer came, and this is the day when most people didn't have air conditioners. They didn't. It was not. That'd be crazy. You know how much that would cost back then? Anyway, so no air conditioning, and so we'd keep her door open, and the neighbor next door really got irritated with hearing me play the piano a lot. And I'll have to admit, back then I was not very good. And so she had a right to be annoyed. Well, this is what happened. She was a spinster. She never married, so she didn't know what it's like to have children practicing on the piano. Oh, I remember there were only 3 chords. I played them over again.
Yeah.
Anyways, well, she comes right into our house, all mad and huffy, and yells at me and tells me how much of a nuisance I am. And she leaves and slams our door shut. Well, I can't be outdone, and maybe my personality hasn't altered all that much, because I got up and opened the door and I locked the screen and went back to playing the piano, maybe a little louder. And she comes up and tries to open the door, and she gets so mad, and you know, that's because I don't want to use the words that she actually said. Okay, she goes away, and I think, ha ha ha, I've won the battle over that old
Lady.
the word is here, but I think I won't say it. Anyways, she drives her car up her driveway, and her driveway went right by our front door. She parked it there, left it running, and went back in our house. Well, within 5 minutes, our house was full of car exhaust. Oh, it made me so mad. I had to shut the door or die. And so, well, what could I do? My brother came home from college for college break. He was going to college out of state. Now, we told him about the grouchy neighbor, and he just smiled. One afternoon, he was playing the piano. He began to play. Now, let me tell you, my brother was split between deciding to be a concert pianist or a physics professor. Well, he became a physics professor. So this music he was playing was nice to listen to, okay? And he was also ticked off that the Steinway didn't show up until he had already left home. He had to practice and become that good on a little spin it, sir. Anyways, so he's playing along, and she opens her front door, and is right across the driveway from our front door, and she turns on her radio. Then she turns her radio up all the way. Now, this irritated my brother. I tried not to do this. He wasn't pleasant when he was irritated. So this is what he did. This was a grand piano. He opened the lid. That's like turning the volume up. He went and got his loudest and fastest song. And I forget the name of it. But it really made those ivories rattle as he raised his hands up and down. And then there were those moments when he had all 10 arms going down, crashing down. And it was Hungarian something or other, but it's something like this. And so I went outside. First of all, it was really loud in the house. I wanted to get the full effect of this sound battle, and the neighbors had brought chairs out, and they were sitting under the lawn enjoying the spectacle. Now, I got to ask you a question. Really, if we were nations, we would have started World War III right then, right? Here's the question. Who is advanced and who is not? I was talking to a friend, and she said, in my younger days, I experienced the golden phase of my life. Everything went my way. Everything flowed through my life just exactly the way it should go. Nothing ever went wrong. And I wish I could get back to that effortless way of living, she declared. Then she thought for a moment, and she made a very interesting comment. She said, maybe everything has always gone right for me. And it still is. And I have just not been aware of it. World peace begins when our personal perception becomes peaceful. The secret is in union with God. God is at peace. When in union with Him, we too will be at peace. The opposite of peace is fear. Fear thoughts steal away our peace. What can we do about this? Seek union with God. And it's just prayer we're talking about. Lots of prayer. Take the time to communicate with our Creator, and the love of our Creator will do the rest. So, this ages me, but I remember, I bet it's not there anymore. The old theater on Atlantic, they had velvet chairs, they had pillars and fancy stuff, and the balcony, oh my goodness, it was all looked like in an opera house, with that. And you could go in the afternoons and pay the admission, which wasn't very much, I don't remember, but it wasn't much. And you could sit through as many shows as you wanted, just stay in there. They only had one theater room, and they played monster movies all Saturday afternoon, and me and my friends would go in there and pay the fee and sit through several of those monster movies. And it was really great, and there'd always come a time when the explorer is going to be devoured by the dinosaur. Remember these movies?
Oh, yeah.
And they're so stupid because he just caught a 4-inch lizard, and he's got an up close shot with a camera, and it's right then when my friend or my buddy would elbow me and he'd say, "Ha! That's so fake." Yeah, it was. Now that I'm older, I find that God is my buddy, and He's sitting next to me. And when the monsters come on the stage of my life experiences, He elbows me and He laughs, and He reminds me, saying, "That's so fake." So we can indeed afford to laugh at fear thoughts, remembering that God is at our side.
That was excellent.
So I'm not done. I have another paragraph.
I can't wait.
I bet you
You
can't.
done?
No, that was so good.
So I am at peace. I am your friend, and my love for you goes deep. There is nothing I can give you but which you don't have. But there is much, very much, that while I cannot give it, you can take it. Please, take the love I am offering you. Please take the peace I am offering you. It all begins with the union that God is offering you. Now,